Hello, welcome to what is the first video on Postcard Ease. This is something that I've wanted to do for quite a while, as a few people have mentioned that having just the images of the fronts and the backs of the cards on the website doesn't really do justice to the card itself, as there's some kind of separation that's a bit unfortunate in doing it that way. As in reality, the card comes together, the fronts and the backs make up the whole. So to get round that, I thought it'd be worthwhile doing a few videos to show you the card itself, to make sure that we get across the authenticity of the card, but also to be able to go into the card in a bit more depth. So here we go. This is, I think, is a great example of this theme of the panopticon postman, of the fact that the messages that people write on the cards are very much affected by the sender knowing that they're using an open form of communication, so that they have to adapt their message so that if they don't want someone else to know what's going on, that they change their message accordingly. So this is one sent in February 1907 from Walt. He's quite happy that we know that it's from him, to a Miss G.E. Mellors. And what's great about the card is that although Walt uses English to talk about the weather the next day, for the most part the message is made up of some kind of Morse code. And to add to that, to add to this sense of secrecy, of intimacy between Walt and Miss Mellors, I think Walt's done a couple of other things that are quite deliberate to add to this feeling of secrecy. First of all, in the card that he's actually selected, the image is of a rural scene. We've got horses at the front, a smoking chimney in the background, and a wood and some fields. But what's interesting is the title of the card, which I don't think is a coincidence. It says, gentle airs whispering to the woods. So you can just imagine Walt going into his newsagent and picking out a card that was just right for him to be sending some kind of whisper to Miss G.E. Mellors. What I also love about this card is what Walt's done with the stamp. We've talked in previous weeks about how the tilted stamp suggested affection between the sender and the recipient. But what's different about this card is that Walt, rather than tilting the stamp so that Edward VII looks down on the message, what he's done this time is tilted the stamp so that the king is looking up. So not even the king is allowed to know what is in the message between him and Miss Mellors. So there we go. I'll put a couple of stills up of the card as well, so that you can have a look in a bit more detail. But do fire in any thoughts that you have about the card, or about this format, and how we can bring to life the cards even more. There we go.